sitting near the water. They asked her, "Do you allow us to stay with you?" She replied, "Yes, but you will have no right to possess the water." They agreed to that. Ishmael's mother was pleased with the whole situation, as she used to love to enjoy the company of the people, so they settled there, and later on they sent for their families, who came and settled with them, so that some families became permanent residents there. The child Ishmael grew up and learned Arabic from them, and his learned Arabic from them, and his virtues caused them to love and admire him as he grew up. And when he reached the age of puberty, they made him marry a woman from amongst them. Ishmael's wife, the prophet, continued. After Ishmael's mother had died, Abraham came after Ishmael's marriage in order to see his family that he had left before, but he did not find Ishmael there. When he asked Ishmael's wife about him, she replied, "He has gone in search of livelihood." Then he asked her about their way of living and their condition, and she replied, "We are living in misery, we are living in hardship and destitution." Complaining to him, he said, "When your husband returns, convey my salutations to him and tell him to change the threshold of the gate of his house." When Ishmael came, he seemed to have felt something unusual. So he asked his wife, "Has anyone visited you?" She replied, "Yes, an old man of such and such description came and asked me about you, and I informed him, and he asked about our state of living, and I told him that we were living in a hardship and poverty." On that, Ishmael said, "Did he advise you anything?" Did he advise you anything? She said, "Yes. He told me to convey his salutation to you, and to tell you to change the threshold of your gate." Ishmael said, "It was my father, and he has ordered me to divorce you. Go back to your family." So Ishmael divorced her and married another woman from among them, Jurham. The Kaaba is built by Prophet Muhammad. Then Abraham stayed away from them for a period as long as Allah wished, and called on them again, but did not find Ishmael. So he came to Ishmael's wife and asked her about Ishmael. She said, "He has gone in Soph, our livelihood." Abraham asked her, "How are you getting on?" asking her about their sustenance and living. She replied, "We are prosperous and well off. We have everything in abundance." Then she thanked Allah. Abraham said, "What kind of food do you eat?" She said, "Meat." He said, "What do you drink?" She said, "Water." He said, "O Allah, bless their meat and water." The Prophet added, "At that time they did not have grain. At that time they did not have grain, and if they had grain, he would have also invoked Allah to bless it." If somebody has only these two things as his sustenance, his health and disposition will be badly affected unless he lives in Mecca. The Prophet continued. Then Abraham said to Ishmael's wife, "When your husband comes, give my regards to him, and tell him that he should keep firm the threshold of his gate." When Ishmael came back, he asked his wife, "Did anyone call you? Did anyone call you?" She replied, "Yes. A good-looking old man came to me." She praised him and added, "He asked about you, and I informed him that we were in a good condition." Ishmael asked her, "Did he give you any piece of advice?" She said, "Yes, he told me to give his regards to you and ordered that you should keep firm the threshold of your gate." On that Ishmael said, "It was my father, and you are the threshold of the gate. He has ordered me to keep you with me." Then Abraham stayed away from them for a period as long as Allah wished, and called on them afterwards. He saw Ishmael under a tree near Zamzam, sharpening his arrows. When he saw Abraham, he rose up to welcome him, and they greeted each other as a father does with his son, or a son does with his father. Abraham said, "O Ishmael, Allah has given me an order. Allah has given me an order." Ishmael said, do what your Lord has ordered you to do." Abraham asked, "Will you help me?" Ishmael said, I will help you." Abraham said, "Allah has ordered me to build a house here," pointing to a hillock higher than the land surrounding it. Then they raised the foundations of the house, the Kaaba. Ishmael brought the stones while Abraham built, and when the walls became high, Ishmael brought this stone and put it for Abraham, who stood over it, and carried on building, while Ishmael was handing him the stones, and both of them were saying, "Our Lord, accept this service from us. Verily, you are the All-Hearer, the All-Knower." Hajar sees Zamzam by narrated a slightly different version. When Abraham had differences with his wife because of her jealousy of Hajar, Ishmael's mother, he took Ishmael and his mother and went away. They had a water skin with them containing some water. Ishmael's mother used to drink water from the water skin so that her milk would increase for her child. When Abraham reached Mecca, he made her sit under a tree and afterwards returned home. Ishmael's mother followed him, and when they reached Qadr, she called him from behind, "O Abraham, to whom are you leaving us?" He replied, "I am leaving you to Allah's care." She said, "I am satisfied to be with Allah." She returned to her place and started drinking water from the water skin, and her milk increased for her child. When the water had all been used up, she said to herself, "I had better go and look so that I may see somebody." She ascended as Safa mountain and looked, hoping to see somebody, but in vain. When she came down to the valley, she ran till she reached Al-Marwa mountain. She ran to and for between the two mountains many times, and then she said to herself, "I had better go and see the state of the child." She went and found it in a state of one on the point of dying. She could not endure to watch it dying, and said to herself, "If I go, I may find somebody." She went and ascended Al-Safa mountain and looked for a long while, but could not find anybody. Thus she completed 7 rounds of running between Al-Safa and Al-Marwa. Again she said to herself, "I had better go back and see the state of the child." But suddenly she heard a voice, and she said to that strange voice, "Help us if you can offer any help." Lo, it was Gabriel, who had made the voice. Gabriel hit the earth with his heel like this. Hit the earth with his heel to illustrate it. And so the water gushed out. Ishmael's mother was astonished and started digging. The prophet said, if she had let the water flow naturally without her intervention, it would have been flowing on the surface of the earth. Continued narrating. Ishmael's mother started drinking from the water, and her milk increased for her child. Afterwards, some people of the tribe of Hurhum saw some birds while passing through the bottom of the valley, and that astonished them. They said, "Birds can only be found at a place where there is water." They sent a messenger who searched the place and found the water, and returned to inform them about it. Then they all went to her and said, "O Ishmael's mother, will you allow us to be with you or dwell with you?" Then they stayed there. Later on, her boy reached the age of puberty and married a lady from them. Then an idea occurred to Abraham, which he disclosed to his wife Sarah. "I want to call on my dependents." I left at Mecca. When he went there, he greeted Ishmael's wife and said, "Where is Ishmael?" She replied, "He has gone out hunting." Abraham said to her, "When he comes, tell him to change the threshold of his gate." When Ishmael came, she told him the same, and whereupon Ishmael said to her, "You are the threshold, so go to your family, you are divorced." Again Abraham thought of visiting his dependents, one he had left at Mecca, and told his wife Sarah of his intentions. Abraham came to Ishmael's house and asked, "Where is Ishmael?" Ishmael's wife replied, "He has gone out hunting," and added, "Will you stay for some time and have something to eat and drink?" Abraham said, "What is your food and what is your drink?" She replied, "Our food is meat and our drink is water." Mecca. Added, "Will you stay something to eat?" Abraham said, "What is your food and what is your drink?" She replied, "Our food is meat and our drink is water." He replied, "O Allah, bless their meals and their drink." Because of Abraham's invocation, there are blessings in Mecca. Once more, Abraham thought of visiting his family. He had left at Mecca, and he told his wife Sarah of his decision. He went and found Ishmael behind the Zamzam well, mending his arrows. He said, "O Ishmael, your Lord has ordered me to build a house for him." Ishmael said, "Oh, obey the order of your Lord." Abraham said, "Allah has also ordered me that you should help me therein." Ishmael said, then I will do so. So both of them were saying, O our Lord, accept this service of us. Verily, you are the All-Hearer, the All-Knower.